The crypto markets are crashing, and two of the world's largest cryptos, Luna and UST, face extinction from a multi-billion-dollar bank run. That's billion with a B. As of recording, I still don't know if these coins are going to recover, and the big question on everyone's mind is, how did this happen? I brought on an expert to explain it, but first we have to talk about the basics of this stuff. Terra USD, also known as UST, is an algorithmic stablecoin, which is different from fiat-backed stablecoins like Tether, which at least pretend to be backed by real money. Algorithmic stablecoins, on the other hand, aren't backed by anything. The way they maintain their peg to the US dollar or euro is with market dynamics by incentivizing arbitrage. Usually, there's a pair of tokens, one of them paired to the currency, and the other can fluctuate. And I'm not going to get into exactly how this arbitrage thing works because it's quite complicated and others have covered it in a great amount of detail. The point is that usually these things work really well and make a lot of money for everyone right up until they don't and things go boom. Historically, every single algorithmic stablecoin has eventually lost their peg in what's known as a death spiral, where people lose their faith in the coin finally and rush for the exit. And because this stablecoin is not collateralized in any real way, most people end up losing their money in these exit situations. Famously, Mark Cuban got wrecked with a stablecoin called Iron and its Titan pair. Many people have compared this token pair to UST and Luna. However, there are differences which we're going to get into. But the point is, there's been a lot of failure in the ALGO stablecoin space, which you need to know about. People meme about all the different failures and say, look, you guys are trying alchemy. It's impossible. You can't create value from nothing. Despite this fact, it hasn't stopped people from trying. Every time a new algorithmic stablecoin fails, two more crop up with new strategies about how they're going to finally defeat this death spiral. And the most popular and successful attempt at this has come from Terra Labs, a company which created Luna and UST. These two coins are extremely popular and in the top 10 of all cryptocurrencies. So the project is massive. And if these coins were to go bust, billions of dollars would vanish. One reason the people have invested so much into UST and Luna is because of a savings protocol called Anchor, which promises people a stable return of around 20%, which is obviously insane, especially given how stable stablecoins are supposed to be. As a reminder, Bernie Madoff only promised a stable return of 10% a year, and the Anchor protocol is nearly doubling that, leading many people to accuse it of being a Ponzi scheme. However, Luna investors, who often call themselves lunatics, say everyone knows these rates are unsustainable and claim they're just being used as a growth tactic to get people into the ecosystem and that they will eventually be lowered over time. As of a day ago, there was $14 billion locked up into this 20% a year free money scheme. And this has been one of the major drivers of adoption. And this 20% return was seen as a great investment for many, right up until the crypto markets went into free fall over the weekend. And Luna and UST were hit some of the hardest of all. Luna fell 50% in one day, and UST actually depegged all the way down to 69 cents. Nice. As for the Anchor protocol, there was roughly $7 to $8 billion withdrawn from the protocol over the course of a couple days. Like I said, billion-dollar bank run. And as of the time of writing, I really do have no idea if UST is going to recover at all. And that's why I brought on my guest today, Bennett Tomlin. He's something of a stablecoin specialist, and you may recognize him from my Tether video. And I couldn't think of a better person to talk to really get to the bottom of this. Bennett, thanks for coming on the show. So this is absolutely insane. We have billions of dollars hanging in the balance here. And I guess my question is, what are the scenarios here? Which ways could this go?
Sure. So the first way this could go is that people continue to lose confidence in this system and try to exit their Terra into Luna, which when you do it below peg, mints more Luna and provides continued downward pressure on the price of Luna, which is the algorithmic stable coin death spiral that's often talked about, is once the confidence is shaken, it can feed into itself. And as the protocol is trying to protect itself, it's also destroying itself by draining any of the remaining value out. The other option is that Do Kwon and Terraform Labs are able to, using their Bitcoin reserves by partnering with appropriate market makers and venture capitalists, that they're able to, at least for now, get this back to peg. Once they have it at peg, they're going to need to convince the community that this is still a thing worth having confidence in. What you might see, in order to try to get that confidence back, is Do Kwon and Terraform Labs, or perhaps just the Terra community broadly, may try to find a scapegoat, some kind of entity, firm, or person who they can come up with a plausible motivation for wanting to attack Terra.
I'm already finding that, by the way. They're coming out and saying that, centralized banks want to bring Terra down. They want to take down Luna. So you're already seeing that occur. But one of the interesting things I thought about the Luna Foundation Guard, or whatever it's called, is that they bought Bitcoin to supposedly protect the Luna peg. But since the markets are pretty correlated, when the markets go down like this and you have like an attack on the peg, aren't they selling Bitcoin at a loss to protect Luna and then making Bitcoin crash even harder? Like, am I getting that right? Why would you invest in an asset that would probably be down when you need it the most?
Because I think Do Kwon's goal with purchasing the Bitcoin wasn't really to stabilize the peg or make the Terra system better. I think that the primary goal with purchasing this massive amount of Bitcoin was to make it harder for people who care about Bitcoin to criticize Luna or Terra, because he was on pace to become like one of the single largest holders of Bitcoin in the world. And once you're in that position, you have a lot of influence over Bitcoin, and you can get a lot of things you may want because no one wants you to suddenly market sell $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. That would be very bad for anyone who holds Bitcoin or anyone who holds assets heavily correlated with Bitcoin, which is the entire cryptocurrency market. They've now made it where criticizing Terra, criticizing Luna, and destabilizing their system risks destabilizing a larger portion of the crypto ecosystem as a whole, and as such, many, perhaps all, crypto holders now have an incentive to try to make sure that Luna and Terra survive.
I think also another part of this that we have to talk about is obviously their success with the Anchor protocol, or I call it success. They've been offering these crazy 20% rates of return. Can you explain? It's this weird game. It feels like Bernie Madoff, the whole like you get this really stable return. Actually, it's way over what Bernie Madoff was offering. Can you explain that? I know they're saying that, look, it's just a growth hack, but it feels awful Ponzi-like. Why are you laughing?
Yeah, I'm laughing because when Cass and I did our episode on Terra, there's the moment when we talk about this, and Cass asked me, why does this feel like a scam? I'm like, it feels like a scam because they're telling you they can guarantee a 20% interest rate. And when someone tells you that, they're basically always scamming you. That's not a real thing that generally happens. And so for a long time, Terraform Labs was providing funds. Well, they're still providing funds. Terraform Labs is providing funds to the Anchor protocol so that you can get a rate higher than the market can support for lending out your Terra. It did used to be this like guaranteed stable 20% or so, 19 whatever percent yield. They recently did make it so it starts to float a little bit, but it's still subsidized so that you get more for lending it than you pay to borrow it.
Crazy idea.
And
only in crypto, by the way. Only in crypto.
Yeah. Normally that goes the other way. The good faith explanation for what they were doing is that they hoped they could get this big enough that it would actually start being used for like
real things,
commerce or foreign exchange or payments or currency things currencies are used for. But instead, everyone just used it for the free money, and eventually free money ends.
Right. Well, it seems like every time a stablecoin fails, an ALGO stablecoin fails, it just seems like somebody has a new idea for, I know what they did wrong. I'll fix it this time. This is going to be the one true.
See, I wish they had new ideas. That would be
you don't think they do?
This, like, Terra is not very meaningfully different from like the economic concepts behind Dan Larimer's New Bits from like 2015 or not new, yeah, New Bits, BitShares from like 2015, or it's not super meaningfully different from the Titan and Iron Finance one, which famously broke and lost Mark Cuban a bunch
This
of
one
money.
just feels very well funded.
Yes.
And it feels like
This one's big. I think what makes Terra so interesting is none of the other algorithmic stablecoins have grown to $18 billion. Do Kwon and Terraform Labs were way more effective at marketing and growth than any of the previous algorithmic stablecoin teams. And because of that, it got to a scale and size where it ended up posing this relatively unique risk to the cryptocurrency ecosystem that no algorithmic stablecoin has really been able to do before, because they were always so much more isolated. It was a lot easier to call many of the older ones Ponzi's or really emphasize the game or the scheme part, because they were a lot less likely to interact with other protocols and to become this more broadly accepted part of the ecosystem. But there's places that had UST as a base pair and stuff for exchanges, right? Like, this had started to reach out into a broader part of the ecosystem. Now we're talking about a stablecoin that was able to sponsor a US sports team, right? And so, like, it's entirely different, and it's way more deeply connected. And so seeing it play out in this way has been a bit of a contrast to past algorithmic stablecoin blowouts, and might perhaps give us some idea of what might happen if, say, a stablecoin about 4.5 times the size of Terra were to suddenly become much less valuable.
Frightening, and I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. Thank you so much, Bennett, for coming on and explaining all this stuff to us. Guys, Bennett and his co-host, Cass, have a podcast that I want you guys all to go listen to. You want to shout it out real quick?
Yeah, sure. Cass Pianski and I are the co-hosts of Crypto Critics Corner. You can find it on YouTube or anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
Great podcast. I listened to it myself. Thank you so much for jumping on and explaining what's happening. Crazy times. Stay safe out there. We'll see you.